Ladies and gentlemen, Caravan fans, welcome back to Mount Carmel's official weekly sports update podcast, Shoulder to Shoulder. My name is Matt Malloy, your play-by-play announcer, but today we're got our mics on in the building. Usually I'm joined with my good friend Christos Demas, but I've got a couple of new faces here with me. These guys helped out 2 weeks ago with the Hun game broadcast at halftime. I've got Bryce and Bishop Daymond. Guys, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good, Matt. Ready to talk about some Caravan sports.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, we're ready to get into it for sure. We're going to start off with football as always. These guys had a shutout last Friday night. I was at the game on the field doing some updates on Twitter, taking some videos, and these guys had an incredible game. They won 28-0 over the rival Mustangs. It's their first shutout since September 8th, 2023, so they missed it by just almost a year, a couple of 2 days. It would have been exactly a year on the spot. They beat Notre Dame 35-0. A lot of parallels from last year to this year. Bryce, how do you feel about the season so far? We're 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
We'd like that record to be 2-0. Unfortunately, it's 1-1, like a majority of the teams in the Catholic League, which is pretty surprising so far. But as far as the Caravan goes, how do you feel about the team?
Well, I was definitely impressed with what the defense did against Rita, especially with that shutout. I feel like they came into the game with a different level of focus coming off that Hun game where they got, Hun got 42 points in that game. So I feel like the way that they were, holding their ground in the end zone, not letting them generate too much momentum offensively, the interceptions that were made by Jackson Barons and Xander Gorman in that game were really impressive. So I really like what the defense has done. Now, the offensive line has been a bit of an issue so far this season in protecting quarterback Jack Elliott. I'm not sure, did Zion Elliott play?
So Zion Elliott has not played. He's going to be out for a little bit. So right now we've got guys like Tommy LaBelle in there, and they're moving Landon Carter, I've heard, into left tackle as well. There's a lot of things shifting around with the O-line. So, yeah. I liked what you said about the defense, though. That is huge, momentum. I know you and Bishop are you guys were not students, obviously, when this happened, but my freshman year, 2021, the season opener, we went to Rita, and we won the game by blocking a field goal down, near the red zone and running it back for a touchdown. Rita's first drive, they came down, they're in the red zone, their field goal unit comes out there, and it looked eerily similar to what it was like my freshman year when they blocked that field goal. And a little thought was there in the back of my mind, like, oh, man, it could happen again. And while we didn't run it back for a touchdown, we still blocked it, kept that shutout intact early on in the first quarter. And then you brought up guys like Jackson and Xander. Without those huge interceptions and those really big defensive stops, a shutout would not have been possible. And to not only get a shutout early on in the season, that's obviously very important, but to do it against one of your biggest rivals, right? A team you've played 103 times before heading into that game, it's huge. It's all the momentum the Caravan need heading into this Friday's game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Bishop, I know you want to talk about the receiving room a little bit. What do you got to say about Quentin Burrell?
Well, Quentin Burrell had 11 catches for 307 yards and two touchdowns. So I think he's been playing pretty good throughout these 2 games. He's been staying hot, keeping under pressure, and I think he's been a pretty good football player so far. I think the defense still keeps momentum moving, and the offense, he helps the offense keep them moving. So I think that's partially why Mount Carmel had a shut down against St. Rita.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about keep them moving. Quentin Burrell and Cooper Lehman are exactly the guys that do that on the offensive side of the ball. Cooper Lehman didn't have that big of a game Friday night, but he had a couple of big plays that I noticed where he was just moving the chains down the field, and that's all we needed, right? Just we wanted to keep getting opportunities to score, which is exactly what guys like Quentin and Cooper gave quarterback Jack Elliott and pretty much the rest of the team there. So 28-0 was the final last Friday night. It was the first away game of the season. We're excited now, though. We have 3 home games in a row, which for the 3 of us means we've got some work to do. We've got a couple of live streams and broadcasts coming up. You guys are going to be streaming the sophomore game on Friday night. How do you feel? It's going to be your first time helping out. It's going to be your first time kind of getting that game day atmosphere. I know you guys helped out 2 weeks ago with the Hun game, but now you'll kind of be up there in the press box. So I want to know your ideas and your thoughts on heading into the game against Nazareth Academy on Friday.
Yeah, pretty excited to play a team like Nazareth. Yeah, just excited to see how the Caravan can hopefully build off that game against St. Rita and hopefully leverage it against a better team in Nazareth, because Nazareth is a top team in Illinois.
Yep.
Won back-to-back state championships. They're going for the same thing we are, the three-peat. So, I think it'll be a very exciting game.
It's going to be very exciting. Nazareth in 5A, but 5 years ago, they met us in the 7A state championship back in 2019, where Coach Jordan Lynch got his first state championship as a coach at his former school. He won on Husky Stadium back at NIU, which, shout out to the Huskies, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm a big Notre Dame fan.
Big upset.
If you know me, I love Notre Dame. I love watching them, but 16-14 took down Notre Dame. But this isn't a Fighting Irish podcast. This is a Caravan one. So, Bishop, man, how do you feel about Friday? We've got 3 home games coming up, and you can't beat it. That Friday feel here at Mount Carmel when you've got a home football game coming up. It's Monday. We've got a couple days to go, but how do you feel so far?
Yeah, well, Matt, I'm excited to see the hype that Mount Carmel brings to competing with these teams, such as Nazareth, which they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I expect to be a close game. Expect there to be a lot of good guys. Hope Mount Carmel's offense and defense could play well. Hope Jack Elliott can keep making a few good plays.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. So far, I really think it's been the defense that has just been pushing this football program through these first 2 weeks. And, it's not anything about the offense's work ethic. I think it's just about testing the waters a little bit. This receiving room is completely different from last year. And I think it's great that Quentin and Cooper are playing very well. However, they got to get used to Jack. They got to get used to Jack's game, because Jack played all 14 games last year. He was, obviously going to be the captain this year. They just got to adjust. And you know what? If it takes them 2 or 3 games to do so, that's great. What I don't want to see is that it takes them 8 games to do so, and then we head into Loyola still a little shaky. But, they're getting the nerves out. The offense is still charging down the field like usual. Number 10, Daniel Taylor, is killing it, which is kind of unsurprising. I didn't even think he'd be a running back this year. I still thought he would be a tight end, or I know he played on the D-line a little bit. So his position changes were crazy over the offseason and last year. I love to see it, though, that he's got a defined role as being a team captain at running back. I love it for him. So, football program is staying hot. Their record right now is 1-1. We're going to move now onto soccer. Bryce, I know you've got a little info about this as far as the Catholic League goes, so I'm going to let you lead off on this one. Yeah,
Mount Carmel current record 2-1 so far. We had a good weekend, beating St. Pat's and Mundelein. And we play St. Rita this Thursday, which is going to be broadcast here on CBN. We're going to be working the game. And so far, Mount Carmel, they played a lot. They played in a couple tournaments against really good competition. So I think that'll really benefit us as we head into CCL play. And as for the first CCL opponent, we're going to play St. Rita. They're 1-2 so far, and they play one of our rivals, St. Lawrence, tomorrow. And so far, they have surrendered 14 goals in their first 3 games. So I'm pretty excited to see what the Caravan can do offensively in this soccer game.
Yeah, that's really big that Rita and Lawrence are playing each other tomorrow, because they're 2 teams that are going to be really big opponents this year for the soccer program. I know Coach Godinez would love it if he could beat both the Mustangs and the Vikings, especially the Vikings, though. This is a game that is always circled on the calendar, and it kind of caught me by surprise early on here when I was a student at Mount Carmel. But the kids and the players on the soccer team grew up with these Vikings kids. I've asked them a little bit about it. They grew up in the same areas. They know each other very well, right? They know each other outside of school. They some of them probably still hang out with one another and keep in touch. Some of them graduated with each other back in 8th grade from middle school or something like that. So it's a very similar rivalry to Carmel and Rita as far as football goes. They know each other very well, so that's going to be a great game. It's later on in the season. I know we keep talking about it. It's an away game at Lawrence. But, Bishop, what do you got to say about this Anchor Award that's going around in the soccer program? It's kind of caught some people's eyes on social media. And could you maybe give us an insight as to who has won this award?
Yeah, well, Adam Corral, Brendan Rezo, and Aiden Sazita has won these awards. And Miguel Cancola, so they've all been like pretty good players in terms of how they've been doing.
Yeah. This award is really big. The guys you just mentioned, Bishop, they have a huge impact on the program, and this Anchor Award goes to the guy that does exactly that. Coach Godinez actually told me that he was kind of just sitting and praying a little bit over the off season, and this idea just came to him one day. He was just kind of sitting, doing nothing, relaxing, and this idea came to him, and now it's a really big part of the program where guys that you just mentioned, Bishop, are now winning this award, and it's a huge motivating factor, kind of on a day-to-day basis. Not only do these guys have to compete against the other team to win, but they're kind of competing against each other a little bit, being like, man, I want to be the anchor. I want to be that guy that leads my team. So I think it's a great competitive award and a motivating factor for the soccer program, honestly. We're going to roll right into golf now. Golf has had its ups and downs this year, but over the weekend they had one of their biggest ups yet. They headed out to the Glenwoodie South Side Invitational, where overall the team took second place. Senior captain Michael Schwarz unfortunately had to leave the tournament early due to illness, but other senior Connor McClellan shot a career-low 74 for second place. He went up to Schwarz during the tournament and was like, I'm freaking out a little bit. I've never been in the lead for a tournament really ever like this. And Schwarz and him talked it through. Seems he played a great round of golf. Some other guys on here, Evan Melnicki shot a 74 as well. Santino Pilato shot a 78, and Marty Wilmus shot an 84. Marty's had a couple of ups and downs as well, but that was one of his better scores of the season. So shout out to all these guys. They played great. Also shout out to Michael Schwarz. I know he had to leave that tournament early. He lives, breathes, and eats Mount Carmel golf, especially after heading downstate for the first time in school history last year. He was kind of one of the younger guys on the team. Even as a junior, it was a senior core of guys. So he was kind of seen as maybe the younger guy that would take the program over. And something else about golf is I love the camaraderie around this program. I was, on my phone on Instagram, and Michael O'Keefe, the captain last year, he reposted a picture of the guys that got second place, and he said the future with a bunch of exclamation points. So I think it's awesome that he may be off at Illinois Wesleyan playing golf, which is an incredible golf school and program, but he still looks back at these Carmel guys that are playing now. So you guys have anything to say about this golf team that has been doing pretty well so far this season?
Yeah, it's really cool to see like all the guys like stepping up for each other, especially Schwartz as he had to leave that tournament. And I think this is going to really set them up for a good postseason as the golf season kind of comes to a close.
Yeah, it's a quick one, man. Only a few weeks long, and by the time state comes rolling around, it's almost like, wait a minute, what just happened, right? Like, yeah. I feel like there should be more golf, but it rolls up quick, and it's coming up soon. So these guys are going to get locked in here in September and play the best golf they can. Moving on now, Bishop and Bryce, this is your guys' sport. It's what you play. I'm going to let you take it over. It's cross country. I know you had your first meeting on Saturday, the 42nd Fenton Early Bird Invite. What do you guys got to say?
Yeah, well, some notable times. We have here Christos ran a 1943 for 58th place. TJ Kolke ran a 2027. And as for the freshmen and sophomores, Gabe Valerio had the best time out of all of us. 1929, 42nd place. I had a 2026, 68th place. And Bishop had a 25-29 for 164th place. Now, it was a little bit of a tough meet. I didn't really like the course, honestly. It was like a course like 3 1-mile loops, had a little bit of mud, a little bit of falls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But really proud of what we did. We persevered through that. And excited for this week's meet, which is going to be at DePaul, I believe. It's the DePaul Prep Ram Cup invite. So a lot of our Chicago Catholic League rivals going to be there. So pretty excited for that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when we talk about cross country on this podcast, I feel a little lost, and I'm kind of embarrassed saying that because all 3 of my sisters either did it in high school or are doing it right now. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. You know, I'll see like these times. I'm like, man, like he ran 3 miles in like 25 minutes or something. Like that's awesome, you know. Yeah. But I think what's even better is this is your guys' first athletic event at Mount Carmel. Can you reflect on that a little bit for me? You know.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was really excited going into it because like just knowing that I did something to represent my school was pretty like cool just to do. Yeah, it was really fun to do.
What about you?
Even
Bishop?
though I was really tired at the end.
Yeah. What about you, Bishop?
Yeah, I felt really good going to that high school meet, just running. Like I was like a soldier at Mount Carmel serving for the school. It felt really good. It felt really tough for a first time because I had to persevere. I felt fall down a few times on the mud. Kind of got scarred.
Yeah.
Kind of sucked, but it'll get better if I keep going to these meets, keep going to these athletic events, and struggling at it. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I ran the walkathon in May, and running's tough.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a really mental thing.
Exactly. The physical part I can do. Right? It's 1 foot in front of the other, right? Unless you really hurt something, it's not that bad. You know, it's all mental, man. It's am I gonna slow down here? Am I gonna pick up? You know, what's my pace at? Like I'm tired, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm sweating too much. That my shirt is bugging me or something. Like all these factors playing a role. And there were kids at this meet running sub 15. You know, like they're running 3 miles in under 15 minutes, which is absolutely insane. I don't know how you get your body and mind to a point to do that, but we're not going to name drop them. But shout out to those guys, and shout out to Christos and Gabe. They were the only kids to run sub 20. I hope you guys get there one day too, maybe even this season. So that does it for this week's Shoulder to Shoulder episode, your weekly sports update. Just to recap a little bit, Thursday, Caravan Media Group will be broadcasting a varsity soccer game against St. Rita. That one kicks off at 6:30. On Friday, we've got 2 broadcasts for you. The first one, 5 o'clock. You can listen in for Bryce and Bishop. These guys are going to be working that one. It's against Nazareth Academy for football. And then at 7:30, of course, the much-anticipated 2019 state championship game rematch. Both teams are back-to-back state champions right now, in their respective classes. Nazareth 5A, Mount Carmel 7A, obviously. And this one means a little bit, to have 2 recent powerhouses almost. I would 100% consider Nazareth a powerhouse. So it's going to be a really big game Friday. Let's see who comes out on top. I'm obviously rooting for our guys in brown and white. Bryce and Bishop, do you have anything else to say to the fans at home?
Nothing much. Just excited for these broadcasts we have this week, and just stay tuned.
Yeah, just excited to hear my voice on the broadcast and keep playing my athletic events, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting week, folks. We are ready. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great day, Chicago.